Breakfast in honor of Good Friday. Monday, April 1st is the Main Street Board meeting in City Hall, and that's at 6 p.m. Tuesday, April 2nd is the Municipal Development District meeting, and that's here at City Hall at 5:30. And then Thursday, April 4th is the Planning and Zoning meeting at 6:30. There will not be an planning and zoning meeting. April 11th is the City Council meeting here at City Hall. All of those meetings are open to the public, and you're encouraged to come in and listen and learn. And the Municipal Development District always has some pretty amazing and cool things happening. So we are going to do a special presentation this evening for golly, an incredible woman who has, you know, anyone who knows me knows that I love me some small business. And when you can see a small business pass the test of time, no matter no COVID, no matter no economy, no matter what president, no matter all the growth and the little growth, but to survive and be in a community as long as she has, what an absolute testament to her commitment, not only to herself and her business, but to this community. And so today we'd like to create a proclamation for Miss Rhonda, and I'm just going to read something really quickly. Rhonda graduated from TSTI in commercial art in the late 70s. Her elective was screen printing. Her first job was a sign shop in Amarillo, Texas. The shop did screen printing and signs when there were no printing jobs that they used her sign. Were no printing jobs they used her to do signs. A journeyman sign painter would outline the letter, and Rhonda would fill it in, kind of like a coloring book. Or she would code out signboards. She had to work out in the field of ladders and boom trucks, and after a while she decided she preferred sign painting to screen printing, and it was a lot less money. Back in the late 70s and the early 80s, there were very few women in the sign business, and the guys she worked with really made her pay her dues. They played all kinds of tricks on her, and the hardest jobs were doled out to her just to see if she could do them. One shop in Arlington sent her out with an 8x12 paper pattern to letter a sign by herself. She used a lot of tape and put the pattern on the sign, but she did it. At the end of the day, she rolled into the shop, the guys standing around expecting her to say that she couldn't do it. But to their surprise, Rhonda said, "I got it done." They couldn't believe it. It was hard being a woman in a male-dominated craft. She was even given less pay than a new guy that was on the installation crew because he had a family. And she quit that job. Through the years, Rhonda has worked at 3 sign companies in Amarillo, 1 in Arlington, and 1 in Denton. She did some freelance work in her garage in Pilot Point on McFarland Street. Then April Fool's Day in 1984, she took the plunge and launched Signal Sign in Pilot Point, Texas. Her stepdad, who was a pilot for a banker and oil company, secured $5,000 on his signature for her. So she started Signal Sign with $5,000, and she never looked back. The computer age had not hit the sign business when Rhonda started back in the late 70s. She remembers when a guy told her there was a machine that painted signs. No way! Are there little hands in there with brushes? That was the first time that she knew there was anything but hand lettering. When Rhonda started Signal Sign, she hand-lettered everything. Her first trailer was Del Varney's black trailer. She lettered in light blue and had to triple coat it. She started Signal Sign in the back half of Mark Riney's Horse Country Automotive, then moved into another one of Bobby Dane's buildings by herself, then moved to a building in the industrial park. When the opportunity came to purchase Dick Seller's building, formerly Pilot Point Printing, she jumped at the chance and has been there ever since. Rhonda hand-lettered many of the signs around the area for a few years and then decided to try that computer approach. She did cut vinyl signs for years, and she still does, but after a few years decided to explore the digital area of the sign industry. Now Rhonda can print banners, decals, a complete 4x8 sign, and endless possibilities. A funny and not so funny story Rhonda told was the time an older man came into her shop asking for the sign painter. She replied, "You're looking at her." "No," he said, "where's the man?" Again she said, "I'm the sign painter." He even looked in the back. Another time, a man wanted to pay her with a 6-pack. Her reply was, "I prefer money." Rhonda has done work for many businesses in and around Pilot Point through the years. Some are Chandler Cabinets, Trimline Cabinets, PPISD, City of Pilot Point, Twin Cities South, Odell Landscaping and Nursery, many real estate agents, and the list just goes on and on. There have definitely been some hard times, lean years, but Rhonda never gave up. She said, "This is the longest I've done anything but live." April Fool's Day will be 40 years for Signal Sign in Pilot Point. Her mom told the day that she started that she either was a fool or it would work. It seems like she was not a fool. Miss Rhonda, yes. Miss Rhonda, today we acknowledging you with a proclamation from the City of Pilot Point that tells exactly that story. And as a woman myself, I can't tell you thank you enough for paving the way for women, because even though you didn't know it, you were absolutely making footprints that we later on could follow in. And so I thank you for your service to this community. I thank you for fighting the good fight day after day, month after month, and year after year for 40 years in the City of Pilot Point and serving its people. So today we acknowledge you with a proclamation, and if you'll come up and I'll give this to you, and if you'd like to say a few words, I'd love for you to do that.
Rhonda, I would like to also tell you, Rhonda, that I nominated you because you are one of my heroes. And do you remember when we met? We met when you were doing helmet for my boys when they were very little. And since then, you became my hero. So this is why I nominated you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. When I started, I didn't have gray hair or wrinkles or fat. You don't have gray hair. You got fat, you got wrinkles, you got pink hair.
So awesome. We have so many businesses and organizations here in Pilot Point to have sustained the test of time for sure. So that's awesome. Thank you for being here tonight, Ms. Rhonda. We're going to move into the public forums. Citizens are allowed 3 minutes to speak. If the issue is on the agenda, the City Council may choose to discuss and consider the item. If the issue is not on the agenda, the Council is not permitted by state law to respond to or discuss the item other than to make statements of specific factual information in response to a city's inquiry or to recite existing policy in response to the inquiry. The Council may request the issue be placed on a future agenda for action in accordance with state law. This forum is not the appropriate place to address complaints against public officials and or staff. Complaints of this nature should be made in writing and filed with the city manager. We've got quite a few people that are here to speak. If there's anyone who got here late and you do want to speak, you can fill out a form and hand it to Chief Cox, and he can make sure our city secretary gets it. There's some of you who want to speak on different agenda items. I am moving the governance subcommittee up on the agenda, and I'm also moving code enforcement up. So you can let me know if you want to speak now or if you want to speak during that agenda item. So we'll go ahead and get started. Let me see, I had it organized here a second ago. I want to make sure okay. We'll start Stephen Berkelback. Come on up, sir. And if you can state your name and your address, please, before you start.
Stephen working back 12200 Mass Road. I bought the property at a little fire. I bought the property in 2017. The property that I bought was a landfill, top and bottom. I didn't realize the landfill that existed underground, but I did realize the junk that was on top. I went ahead and bought the property, roll up my sleeves, clean up the top of the property, and then shortly after I bought the property, my neighbor Dave Cordell advised me that there's a mountain of junk underground of this property. And it's junk that y'all and your parents and friends and family has hauled out there over the years. So I hired a real estate attorney, and he advised me that I needed to clean the trash up. Otherwise, I'd have to, disclose to the seller whenever I sold the property. And if I didn't clean the trash up, I'd take about a 50% hit on the property. I bought me a backhoe, started cleaning the property up. Miss Jones didn't didn't pass her cosmetic sniff test, and so she demanded us to quit digging the trash up. And after I quit getting along with Ms. Jones here, I've had the city completely weaponized against me. I've been harassed by every person that y'all got hired. He had me arrested first time in my life, unlawfully. I waited 23 months to come face him because he's done nothing with the charges. And so I've had to wait in silence before I, confront this tyrant. Y'all just have a bunch of tyrants. Now y'all hired another one with banana over here. Y'all just got nothing but tyrants. Y'all took an oath. We all took an oath to the Constitution, right? You took an oath. You took an oath. Everybody took an oath to the Constitution. Do you know the Constitution? You took an oath to sit in that seat. Do you know the Constitution? First 5 elements of the first Constitution. Do you know it? Any of them? No? You know the fifth one? What about you, Rex?
If you still can go ahead and just make your statement and not be accusatory.
Can I make a request? Because I want to have a.
You can put that in writing. Yes.
I've been trying to get a hold of him.
Okay.
Can I make a request right now?
No, you can put it in writing and send it to the city manager, copy the dais, and we'll.
I've been doing all that, just
Okay.
getting ignored. I want to call him out on the carpet right now. I want to have a sit-down,
Okay.
recorded meeting with him.
Okay.
I want to exercise, because I like exercising my rights. That's one of my first amendments, one of the first amendments of the Constitution. My right to express my grievances with my government. So I'm a little fiery, excuse me, but I've been, like I said, I've waited 23 months. I've been nothing but got harassed. Time's up?
Yes, sir. Is there? Yeah. There's the timer is on the
I'll come
front
back.
screen. Thank you so much, sir.
Next meeting.
Next up, you do have 3 minutes to speak, and the timer's on here, so you guys can kind of watch your time. Kelly Burgess.
Okay, my name is Kelly Burgess. I live at 916 Yearling Street. My son Jackson's in behind me. We've lived here for a few years, and we love it. My son's on the ski shooting team. He's a wrestler, and we just love this. This is our home, and I feel it is my duty as a citizen of this town to come forward and express my concerns about a few things because you're my leadership, so you're who I look to. I did read in the paper about the subcommittee. I know that something's going to be discussed. I just don't get it, how you can have a committee of a committee and it can agree with itself. So I assume that's something that's going to be on the agenda for further discussion. Yes. Okay. All right. With the exception of Mayor Beasley, the council communicates almost nothing to the public. There's been very little transparency with regard to what goes on, and there are 2 very primary issues that I have here, and I'm very concerned about. One is the police chief. I don't have a lot of information, but some of the rumors I've heard about how this man conducts himself, how he treats his officers, are quite disturbing.
Sure.
We have probably half of the officers that we need to support the people in this town. So I'm concerned about why he's able to get away with these things. If he is, what is he doing? I want an accounting of his dealings and his behaviors, the officers that he's dismissed, why. I want these things made public. The man standing behind me, or almost man, is my son, and he's dedicated himself to join the military because he wants to be a police officer in this town. And I'm not so sure I want him here. But I want to change that. I want you to change my mind about that. I want him to come back home and serve this community where we love it. The other one, it brings me no joy to have to say this, but on or about December 31st, 2023, our Mayor Pro Tem Andrew Ambrosio, who is not here this evening, was arrested by a police officer for DWI. I have not heard boo about that except to read it in the Denton Record Chronicle, which is embarrassing because nothing in this town was discussed. It was not brought out in public. When he's asked to speak of it, he won't speak of it in public. And I can tell you, as a civil servant myself, for 21 years as a teacher, if I had a DWI conviction or not, I'm done. I am not eligible to be a leader in my capacity, and I probably would lose my license. My husband is a juvenile probation officer for Denton County. He serves the families and the children of Denton County. Some of the worst situations you could ever imagine. And he serves those children with all his heart. And if he got a DWI, he would lose his job, his pension, and his license, and rightly so for just cause. It doesn't even require a conviction. And I don't understand the members of this council who haven't called him on the carpet for it and aren't holding him accountable, because if that's the case, you're as culpable as the gentleman who got behind the wheel drunk. So I would like that on the agenda next we meet, and I would like to discuss and investigate, please. He has a right to defend himself, discuss it, but I can't get the man to speak. Okay, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Justin Carlson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've prepared my 3 minutes on a piece of paper here so I can put the time. My name is Justin Carlson. I'm out of Tyler, Texas. I come to you this evening as a former corporal here for the city of Pilot Point. Many of you may recognize me, maybe some of you don't. Many of you, I chose to serve this city. A lot of you. All of you. And I was brought into this police department by Rex Marks, he sits to my right, for my leadership abilities. And I made it clear when I started that I would not simply nod along with the status quo. Never have, especially when it comes to city government. Mr. Marks acknowledged this, and he said he didn't want a bobblehead, and I took distinction in that. Throughout my nearly 15 years of service to only a few communities, I've always taken my oath very seriously. My commitment has always been to the people, not to any individual or bureaucracy. Unfortunately, it was this commitment that ultimately led to my dismissal by Mr. Marks. I refused to accept mediocrity and subpar service for the citizens of Pilot Point, and that put me in odds with the direction he was wanting to go. Mr. Marks claims he's been eyeing this opportunity for 35 years. If this is the service that he brings with 35 years of preparation, you should all be extremely concerned. I won't dwell tonight on the details of the investigation into Mr. Marks' actions and how that was covered up. I believe we're all well aware of that situation. And if you're not, you can speak to me afterwards. Instead, I want to emphasize a simple message to all of you on the board here. The eyes of the community are upon you. More people are watching and paying attention than you actually realize. Your duty above all else is to serve the people of this community, not your colleagues, not your own interests, but the needs and the aspirations of the residents who call this place home. Look around this room. All of these individuals are here tonight because they care about this community. They're not here for political games. They're here to advocate for positive change. And make no mistake, there are some significant problems within the city government. But you know what you get when you get a problem? You get an opportunity for growth and improvement. And don't let this moment pass you by without seizing the chance to make things right, to leave behind a legacy of true service and dedication. And I'll close with this, because my time is ending. I may not reside in these city limits, but I desire to. I wanted to be fully invested in this community, to contribute in meaningful ways. I chose to get back in law enforcement after 2 years of being in the private sector, and I chose this community. I'm not from here. I'm from Tyler, Texas, but I travel here every week to serve this community.
Sorry, Mr. Carlson.
Can I finish my 2 sentences? I'm not here out of obligation, born out of official responsibility. That's over for me. But rather a personal commitment to ensure that proper service is provided, even if I wasn't allowed to deliver that during my time. Thank you.
Nate Smith?
Nate Smith, 11,000 St. John Road. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members, city staff. Many of you already know me, but for those of you who don't, talk about my background a little bit. I've been in leadership roles for most of my adult life, whether that was my military service for 22 years, leading small unit to large units all around the world, up to present day where I'm a small business owner. I'm here to talk about our police department as well, and its current challenges. It's no secret that our police department is basically a revolving door at this point. Our police officers continue to ask for help, and it appears to fall on deaf ears. I interact with some of these officers, past and present, and their largest concern is leadership. For the record, I'm not here to say that the current chief is a bad leader. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that there are different types of leadership styles, and some of those styles work for different environments, and some of them don't. And not everybody excels at all of those leadership styles. Sometimes it's just not the right fit. When there is a unanimous vote from an entire department, we need to listen to that. Compare our police department to our fire department. Fire is strong, loyal, dedicated. They are a family. Like those guys are amazing. Our police department is struggling. So the missions are very simple, or excuse me, the missions are very similar. So what's the difference? What does it boil down to? It boils down to leadership. Our fire department has incredible leadership, and it shows. But this is also a leadership issue with the city. We owe it to our officers to take care of them as they are taking care of us. We haven't been doing that well. We need to fix it. Part of leadership is admitting when you're wrong and then course correcting. The city seems to be okay watching these good officers walk out the door, and with the mindset that we'll just replace them. But I talk to these officers. Our city police department has a really bad reputation. And a lot of these officers in surrounding cities, they don't want to come. To finish, these are the people that are coming to our aid in our worst moments. How can we as a city look at ourselves in the mirror knowing that we aren't doing our part to take care of them? It's time for a change. We need to fix the problem. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Amy McAvoy.
Hello, my name is Amy McAvoy and I live at 615 East Burke Street. I came tonight to discuss and just allow myself to deliver the message of the communication between this board and council members and the residents. I was here last year as a proud Citizen Academy student. I spent 18 hours in these chambers, in every department, learning things about the city. I proudly try to take the message to our citizens that we can talk to you. We can send emails, we can have discussions on things. And that's not true. Emails go unheard. Emails go unanswered. Communication is not present. I see posting on the email, on the Facebook, people are talking about backflow testing. Backflow testing company has changed. I'm trying to be a good citizen and inform people, like, how do you do this? It's been a thing. Yes, some of you are just now getting your notice, but it's been a thing. I've already done it for 2 years. And oh, I've got the company name. Here they are. And lo and behold, I see the sign. It's like, oh no, back in January, we changed companies. We changed third-party vendors, raised the rate to use this vendor, which feels like Ticketmaster now, because we have to pay them something to do the compliance that the city is asking us to do. You know, we've spent a lot of time in PowerPoint planning commissions and in celebrations and looking and seeing what direction we're going as a city for PowerPoint. Big, beautiful demonstrations of economic development, what it's going to look like. Subcommittees that are going to like just create their own additional layer between me and you. Something else to report back. It feels very bad. I've sent emails. I get no response. None. I've sent emails over the years. Nothing back from any city council member I've ever sent an email to. So, police department issues, it's embarrassing. You know, answer some people. Answer the call. 26 amendments posted in the paper today for us to vote on in May. In less than 6 weeks. No communication. Where's the information? Who put these things together? Who decided these 26 amendments need to change the laws that govern how it points city charter? Where do we get to even talk about it? Is it going to be talked about? No communication. And that is my message today. Is get it together, bring some communication to us, actually involve yourself in the talk, something. I'm a school board trustee. And I answer every email, even if it's a thank you.
Miss Cindy Perez.
Can I defer until the end so that the people that don't always get
You're it.
We'll let them go first.
No, I'm saying you're the last one for the public.
Oh. I'm the last one who wants to speak all night?
Oh, no, for other agenda items.
Okay, leave me until last, so let other people go.
No, ma'am, this is the public speaking section, so we need you to speak your section. The others are another agenda items.
Okay, then can I go under, the governance?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I'll put you on number 9.
Appreciate it.
Yes. All right, let me just make sure that, we got all of them that were just in the public section. And there's some of you want to speak on two different subject items. Mr. Harrison, on this one, speak in public forum section. Mr. Harrison, yes. Do you want to speak now, or is that under a certain item?
No, that's public forum. I just want to speak.
Oh, come on up.
I do have 2 other ones to speak also, but this one on the public forum, if I may. My name is William Harrison. I live at 14068 Elderton Street in Pilot Point. I am wanting to speak to everyone about a video the mayor has put on social media. It was at the council meeting where the governance committee was discussed, or I was there, and voted on. I have been on a city council before. I was elected by city council members to be mayor pro tem. I don't quite see the meeting as you do. At the meeting, our city attorney brought up that yes, in our city charter, it is where if the council would like to form a committee, like the governance committee, can be allowed. Also, the city attorney mentioned in the charter, that there is nowhere in there that says the mayor should or will be on all the boards and all the committees. I understand that this governance committee was brought up in a council retreat, and so a council member has brought this forth and put it on the agenda to discuss and act, like it was discussed to do. I also understand that a professional consultant has been hired to work, who has worked with other city councils to develop this process to make cities run better. So in reference to you following the Constitution, our city charter, it does allow for this committee to be formed. This is not making the city government bigger. It's already there as a tool to make our city better, if it's wanted. This is not a board, it is a committee, and in the end, after the work is done, it will no longer be, from the way I understand. You mentioned the 6-to-1 vote in the video. To me, that's the democratic process. Each council member and mayor gets a vote. Each of you bring forth what you believe to be right for the citizens and the way it should be done, like it or not. You mentioned the city council members don't come to you to talk about concerns, but here you are going to them. Instead of going to them, you believe going to social media is the way to discuss city concerns. Please do as you say and talk to your fellow council members with concerns, which you say that they are not doing with you. Let's not do it on social media. To remind citizens that they can come to council meetings to voice their concerns. I hope you and the council will use the governance committee to make our city run better. I hope you yourself will work together with the rest of the council to make our city run better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will address some of those aspects when we get to the difference. Is that all for?
They have one more.
Okay. Ms. Buchanan, if you want to come in to speak, you can say your name and your address, ma'am, please.
Yeah, Greta Buchanan, I'm the property owner at 108 West Walker. Among others, I just want to say something real quick. I'm not going to get into the details, but I'm very upset with the attitude of a couple of departments in here, mainly the code enforcement and the police. I just feel like they need to respect the citizens more and try to work with us instead of hampering us. And I'm really upset, so I'm not going to go into all the details. I just wanted to say that. I know a lot of people do agree with me, and I've urged them to do some action on those items.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right, we have all of the other ones. I have you down for speaking at different agenda items, so I'll call you up on those. Is there anybody else that I missed that I misplaced your form? I have you for number 9, or did you want to speak right now? Awesome. Okay, come on up. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, I'm Carrie Millett. I live at 8441 Heights Ranch Road here in Powell Point. I have a little different perspective. I'm a realtor in the area. I've lived here for over 3 years and in the area for over 7. When I first came here 3 years ago, the police department was brand new and they asked my assistance in helping to decorate. They had empty walls, empty building. I had the opportunity to work with 9 outstanding men and women, our police officers, shoulder to shoulder, and I'm not kidding. There were times when we were so short-staffed that there were only 2 at a time on parole out in the community. That was not known. And my husband and I spent hours in the evening putting the lockers together because they didn't have time to do anything to move in literally to their building. We didn't have a chief then, I personally got to know every one of those men and women on our force. Outstanding. Their leadership was amazing. They ruled themselves, the camaraderie with the fire department. They were one big family. We had each other's backs. We were so excited to get our new police chief. I love Chief Brooks. I believe you can love the person, but we have to look at what's going on in our community. I sell real estate. I can tell you the number 2 reasons why people move to a county, a community is, am I going to be safe in my community? And are my children going to be safe at school? You can find the perfect house anywhere. They move here or they don't move here because what is going on in our community? And it's public knowledge due to Facebook and all the other things. It's not good. I'm hearing from the community why they don't want to live here, why they do want to live here. And when I see quality police officers coming and going, we owe it to ourselves as a community, as the council, as the mayor, as the police chief, as other people of the community, why? I think citizens just want to know why. I'm not pointing any fingers. Monthly, I take snacks to our fire, police, and people in the community heroes. I know these people. I see when they're sad, when they're upset, when they're not getting along. We need to figure out why. Because it's affecting our public safety. We're supposed to have, my understanding, last meeting, 13 police officers. We do not have that right now. And it's dwindling monthly. Over a 9-month period of time, we lost 1 police officer a month. 9 police officers in 9 months. I just say, let's figure this out. Let's support our community. I love the community that I live in. Thank you.
All right. I think that's everyone. We do have several of you wanting to speak in other agenda items, so we'll call those up. I do, as regards to police, we are going to have a workshop. We hear you at the next council meeting, before the council meeting regarding police only. So we will be having a workshop addressing that at before the next council meeting. It'll probably be at 5:30, Britt, or 5:30. And we will address specifically police. So we invite you to join us for that. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. There was one person that wanted to speak on an item on the consent agenda, but any discussion from the dais first? Oh, there was. Oh, H form.
Consent agenda.
Well, I just want to make sure I have the forms. Let's see. Oh, no, that was H form. Okay, very good. All right, any comments, questions on the consent? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the consent agenda be approved.
All right, I second that. Motion made by Councilman Dane, seconded by Councilwoman Jones to approve the consent agenda as written. Any other further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we're moving on to the regular agenda. We're going to do the municipal development first, and number 2 will stay intact, and then we will move up the number 9 for the governance committee, and then number 8 for code enforcement. So we'll move those up. First item is discuss and act on appointing a member of the Municipal Development District Board of Directors. This is headed up by our very own Ms. Denise Morris, and they have an amazing board that serves. For those of you who don't know, they do, it's kind of like our economic development and serve the community in helping bring amazing businesses to the city of Pilot Point and helping take care of the businesses that are here today. So it's a great job. We have one applicant on that, Mr. Kent Billiter. I always call him Billemeyer for some reason. Come on up, Mr. Dillinger. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, good afternoon or good evening. My name is Ken Billiter. I am very proud to call myself a resident here in Pilot Point. In 2022, we moved our business from south of Dallas up to Blackjack Road, which is the very outskirt of Pilot Point, soon to be Aubrey. And it was watching these two cities develop, but not only develop, but how they handled the development that led us to want to move our business up here. It was solidified by many members of you sitting up here today, and Mayor Beasley introducing me to folks on the economic development. You and the Municipal Development District Board embraced our equine business. So we have Equipoint Equestrian, and we also have EquiHope. It's a therapeutic riding program for children, adults, and veterans with special needs and disabilities. We're very proud that we are the fastest growing therapeutic riding program in the nation right now. Last year, we served over 2,000 supported riding lessons right here in your community, many of which you probably don't even know is happening. So my goal and my hope to join this is to help bring in more awareness through horse country, bring in more spending from the folks who live outside of the city center, live outside of the city, that live into the ETJ, and to get our clients to come and spend their dollars here. Personally, at my business, we do hunter jumper, we do English riding. I have clients that come to my facility. If you're in the reining world, a lot of your clients don't even come. They meet you at the horse shows. I've got affluent people that can come into this area and spend money. I've had really great conversations with our lovely Chamber of Commerce, many of you up here that are sitting here today, on ways that we can really bridge this. I was excited to know about this position coming up. I hope that I can help be a voice to get some of these horse people off their properties and out into town, but more so just get their wallets open and spend their money here in this thriving community. I do want to say that the thing I was most impressed with was when we purchased on October 16th at that time, how well the city was working together. All the different departments were together and talking to each other, and it made me feel very, very excited. I'm still very excited today. It is hot out there. It's hotter in here. And I will tell you that I know good things are coming on the horizon. I believe in all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Does the council have any questions, comments?
I have something to say.
Yes.
Okay. As you, I also moved here because of horses, and there is something very magical to be said about that. So I think you will be an excellent choice to help the horse community. I would like to see them a little bit more involved because they are such a staple.
We do. We tend to stick to our land. I mean, I get groceries delivered. So I have found out, thank you, Britt, that Berkshire's does have some of the best fried chicken.
So horse country is still alive, and
yes,
we're glad you're here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you. Thank you all for volunteering. This is not the easiest job.
Long live the horses.
That's right. Giddy up.
I second that.
Motion made by Councilman Coving, seconded by Councilwoman Jones to accept Kent Billiter to the MDD board. Any other further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Very good. Item number 2 is discuss and act on the approval of the fiscal year 2022-2023 annual audit. And I was told this would be Uh-oh. There we go. I know.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Michelle Sanchez, Finance Director. I'm just here to introduce our external auditor. Her name is Vanessa Dutton. On an annual basis, obviously, the city has to get audited, and she's here to present that to you. I think this is the quicker.
Yes, sorry.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here today. Again, we are presenting the audit results for the fiscal year 23. I have put together a board presentation for you that I think hits the highlights of the items that you need to know as oversight for this city. So again, I'm Vanessa Dutton, and my firm is Bailey, and I'm based out of the Oklahoma City office.
I want to thank you for being here present today, because it was a lot harder to understand it last year being online. So
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
I've had some requests on
Yes.
this with your council members. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about the scope of the audit. We'd just like to point out that there's the fund financial statements. That's what your general fund, capital project fund, kind of what you're more used to seeing on a budgetary basis. And those are on a modified accrual basis. That's kind of similar to a cash basis. And then there's a proprietary fund, which is the water and sewer fund. And that's on a full accrual basis. So any kind of debt and capital assets would be recognized on the proprietary fund. Then we have the government-wide financial statements. That's kind of a combination of everything within the city, separate from the business type activities, which is also the water and sewer utilities activities.
If you click on like the right side of the screen, it should just go to the next slide.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Okay, so I just want to tell you a little bit more about the full accrual basis of accounting, just because there's two bases of accounting in those financial statements. In full accrual, all assets and liabilities are included in the statement of net position, and then that's the income or the balance sheet. And the operating statements present the increases and decreases in total assets. So it includes all debt owed, and it includes all capital assets and things like pension liabilities. Whereas on your budgetary fund basis, they're more cash basis. So, and you would, under the accrual basis of accounting, you recognize the revenues when they're earned and expensed when the liability is incurred. So, and that's separate from the modified accrual basis. So revenues are considered to be available and recognized as revenue within a 60-day period of year end. And expenditures are generally recognized when the fund liability is incurred. And then there's some examples here. So like debt service, when the debt comes due, and capital asset acquisitions are reported as expenditures. So the deliverables that we issue are the financial statements, that's kind of the bound report. And then we do a separate letter to governance, which is mainly covered here. In the auditor report that's in that bound report, there's an unmodified opinion on financial statements. An unmodified opinion is a clean opinion. That's the type of opinion that you want. And then there's also a report that's required by government auditing standards that discusses any kind of control issues that we might have discovered. And we'll cover that in later slides. Again, you got a unmodified or clean opinion for the financial statement audit. So we did have several audit adjustments. We had those in most all of the funds and then the government-wide financial statements. And so we're going to cover that on the next few slides. I'll go through this kind of quickly. So on the government funds, we have we found adjustments in unreported liabilities, salaries payable, some of the beginning fund balances needed to be adjusted, and certain revenue and deferred revenue balances required adjustment as well. So on the government-wide, the kind of consolidated basis, the capital asset activity was recorded as an adjustment, the debt activity to recognize that as debt on your books, compensated absences, so like paid time off, the liability was adjusted, salaries payable at the end of the year end, net pension liability and those related accounts, and then the other post-employment benefits and related accounts. This is not easy stuff. These particular financial statements. There's very complex transactions in that, so it's pretty common to have these kind of adjustments as part of the audit procedures. I do want to point that out. And then those same adjustments there, we also had on the water and sewer fund. And then we also include, it says EDC, but I think that should be in PD then. But we did have some adjustments on that as well, because they were provided to us more on a cash basis, and we had to put them certain accrual adjustments to report that in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So we did have 3 findings that I want to talk to you about, and they are in the back of that bound report near the end. We did the financial statement preparation, and standards say that you should have somebody on staff that prepares these financial statements in its entirety, provide it to us, and we audit that. Most entities of your size have people that do budgets and answer questions and other financial things, record these journal entries, and they just don't have the knowledge to be able to put together a full financial statement. Where I'm working on these, doing a report a week. So a lot of entities your size decide to take a finding like this and then have us do the financial statement preparation. It's very common. You could hire another firm to come in and do that as well. That's one more person in the process and additional fees that may not be feasible. Material adjustments, we've already talked about all the adjustments that we had, and because of that, we consider that to be a finding. So is it an operational concern? I would not be concerned with that. I was able to talk to Michelle quite a bit, and we were able to agree to those adjustments. So I just wanted to note that as well. And the last one is your procurement policy. And that's very, very wordy slide there, but you do have a procurement policy in place, but when you have a single audit, you have to follow the uniform guidance. That's what sets all the standards for any kind of federal programs that we have to come in and test. And we found that the policy was dated prior to that uniform guidance that came out. And so it's up to you to update those policies on that and get it up to date. There's certain thresholds that have to be met and exactly what you need to do as far as the bid process to make sure you find the best vendor for the process. And we've already discussed that, and corrective action plans are in place. So other required communications that we need to tell you about is just management is responsible for the financial statements. We come in and we just, we do analytical sampling and things like that to be able to test those. We don't audit every single transaction. The significant accounting policies are presented in Note 1 to the financial statements. And there's certain estimates such as the allowance for tax receivable, the property tax receivable, compensated absences, the pension liability, and the OPEB. And OPEB is other post-employment benefit. And those are with your retirement systems outside of this entity, but you have to carry those liabilities on your books, your portion of it. So I just want to let you know one thing. We are still in the process of finishing the single audit that's not due formally until June 30th. Because you get some federal programs and because you spent more than $750,000 on these federal programs, we are required to come in and test those programs now. And just make sure that you are spending them with the intended purpose. So there were 2 this year. It was the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, and then the staffing for adequate fire and emergency response, or SAFER. So those are the 2 programs that are in process of being audited and will be presented to you later on that. I don't know if you want to go into this single audit too much. I know you have a heavy agenda, so I don't want to do that. But again, this is new this year, and I think after talking with members of management, we do anticipate this to be continuing in the future as you get more grants. And that's just a little bit, we test eligibility, allowable costs, that the proper reports are submitted, and then procurement's a big one too. So again, I want to say thank you so much. Michelle's been great. She's very responsive. I want you to know that. And I appreciate all the opportunity to work with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions? No, thank you so much for being here tonight. Appreciate it. Michelle, thank you for all the work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need to approve this audit? Yes. Accept it?
Very good.
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 annual audit.
I second that.
Was that you?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I couldn't hear. Motion made by Councilman Major, seconded by Councilman Heitzman to approve the audit. Any other further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. We're moving up the update on governance subcommittee. So who's that?
That's gonna be the governance subcommittee. So, Councilman Dane was nominated chair of that. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The English language. It's a beautiful and complicated language. So I just want to say here tonight, words matter. Beginning, I want to just clear up some misunderstanding about the definition and role of the governance committee. I would like to point out that there is a clear distinction between the meanings of the words government and governance. The definition of government, as recorded in the Oxford Language Dictionary, means a governing body of a nation, state, or community. The definition of governance, however, is the action or manner of governing. Governance is the process of decision-making and the process by which decisions are implemented. There is a definite and distinct difference between the meaning of these two words, and it is very important that this difference be underscored and acknowledged. I would like to also speak about the word committee. A committee is a group of people, typically consisting of members from a larger group, created to consider, investigate, and report or act on some matter appointed for a specific purpose by a higher authority. In this case, the City Council is the higher authority of elected officials responsible for governing the city, and the committee serves under their authority. Clearly, this is not an additional layer of government. I say all of this to clarify that our responsibility on the committee is not to serve as an additional layer of government created to govern the City Council. That is the sole duty and responsibility of council members who have been elected by the citizens of Pilot Point to govern. The role of the committee is to investigate, develop, and recommend governance policies, procedures, and guidelines that promote an intentional commitment to consistent, transparent, and unbiased work of this and future city councils to follow as they work to govern and serve for the best interests of our city. The committee recently had its first meeting earlier this week, and want to clarify our purpose and lay out kind of the plan that we have in mind to achieve what we've been asked to do. We anticipate it's going to take several meetings to do this, 20 to 25 hours probably of work. Several meeting sessions will follow to develop and propose these guidelines, which will be provided to the City Council for consideration and action. Whether or not the proposed guidelines are approved, amended, or rejected will, of course, be determined by the City Council. The committee will seek advice and assistance from city staff, community members, and outside professionals. We will also look at best practices identified by other cities and public and private organizations during this process. Opportunity for community input is needed, and it will be solicited and received as the committee works to develop the proposed guidelines. The City Council will then conduct a public workshop to review and discuss a draft document of the committee's work. Following that workshop, that public meeting, a final set of governance policies, procedures, and guidelines will be recommended to the City Council for consideration.
I would also like to speak. I wanted to outline
what was stated in the previous meeting, where in our charter, our local constitution, the council is compelled to come up with its own rules of procedure. Reading from section 3.13, and I apologize, this is charter language. It's titled Rules of Procedure. The city council shall determine by ordinance, resolution, or otherwise its own rules of order and business. Where the word shall is used, that means it will be done or to be in compliance with the charter. This thing was put into place in 2015 and we still don't have those rules. So, a particular process provided to the council via the charter is outlined in Article 8, titled Boards and Commissions. Section 8.01, titled Authority, Composition, and Procedures. Reading Section A, the City Council shall create, establish, or appoint as may be required by the laws of the state of Texas or this charter, or deemed desirable by the City Council, such boards, commissions, and committees as it deems necessary to carry out the functions and obligations of the city. Bottom line, our charter calls for rules of procedure and provides a process in committees to get the work done, bringing recommendations to the full council. By bringing forward recommendations for improved and well-defined procedures, we can do the city's business more efficiently, saving everyone time. An example of where we could benefit in our process, this process feels kludgy at times because we actually have more qualified candidates that are coming in now to volunteer for boards and commissions. And that process is a little arduous to go through. And that's an example of where we can improve our process and streamline that. What that would do by streamlining that process and improve it, it would be able to enable us to match candidate strengths to the committees and or board or commission's needs. Another example would be able to add a process for raising a subcommittee. That's another process that feels kludgy. It's making nominations and that type of thing. These are areas for improvement, and we need guidance in that direction. The goal is to make us better at conducting the business of the city. That's only the goal of this governance committee. And in essence, we have a lot of room for improvement. There's several areas. Parliamentary procedure has come up since I came on council, and that's another segment of what we would talk about in adopting how we conduct the business. And all it is doing is to help us make us better in future councils. And it allows us to codify some of the things that we do also were included in that section 3.13, but we haven't ever written it down. Like allowing for the public to speak in the 3 minutes. That's not written anywhere. I'm glad we're doing it, but these are things that we want to put in and have it as a process and bring it forward. And it will, when it comes to the council workshop, it'll be made public then for the public input. So, thank you. I just wanted to review some of those things that we had talked about.
I mean, I have some things to say, but it's basically it's going to be a repeat of everything that they said. So, if you're going to go ahead and open it up, I'd maybe follow up with, just a recap of of what they have to say, so.
Well, I would like to say something. Yes, okay, so, bear with me. I would like to start by addressing 3 very impactful moments that have forever changed my life. Please, bear with me. First of all, is becoming a mother of 3 beautiful children. Second, which is a magical awe moment for me, is finding true love. Thank you, baby. You're awesome. Third, which brings me to this point, okay? I would like to take this moment to thank all that have believed and continue to believe in me serving on city council and representing the people. This has been the greatest honor for me. Thank you with the bottom of all my heart. Serving at this level reminds me and humbles me that I am just one of many trying to make a difference. There is so much to learn, and more importantly, there is so much work to be done. At the moment, it brings me sadness and sorrow of the division that is bringing to this beautiful, beloved town of ours. Perhaps it's truly just a lack of not knowing. Misleading messages, thank you. Misleading messages.
Not good for you, it's not good for you.
And social media, and the rapid rumors that are spreading like wildfires that occurred throughout this week regarding city council are also damaging beyond what we can comprehend. I want to clarify my decision regarding how I chose the governance committee, and the importance I think it will bring to this town. In September of 2023, the City Council had the opportunity to attend a training seminar regarding the procedures of how to better serve and equip us as better leaders. The steps we are taking today are for our future. Like it or not, the future is knocking at our door. The governance committee is not a surprise. This is something that we have been discussing since September of 2023. We all have equal knowledge of this. This is not a surprise. Let me repeat. The governance committee is not a surprise to any of all of us sitting here before you. I personally recommended these 3 leaders for this committee for their wisdom, leadership, honesty, integrity, and more importantly, their fairness to all. Thank you, gentlemen. Obviously, I was not alone since this was 6-1 voted the same way. I humbly ask of you, please, if you truly love our beloved little town, let us build something that we can all be proud of together. I am a champion of love, for all of you that know me, and I am also a champion of people that have been bullied. Our situation has a lot of bullying going on, and I find there is peace in silence. But I've been silent far too long. Sticks and stones and bad words are not of love. Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else on the dais who would like to speak?
Maybe some follow-up.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some follow-up too, but I'm going to allow the people to speak first. If there's anybody who walked in late and you do want to speak, you need to fill out a form. So please fill out that form and give it to our city Secretary. We're gonna start with Mickey Nortman.
I'm Mr. Nortman, 13213 Alexander Road, Osborne. Thank you for the clarification, Councilman Day and Councilman Baker. There was some confusion, I think, among the community regarding.
Excuse me, can you speak up a little bit, please? Thank you.
Sure. Sorry.
Thank you.
Regarding the intent of this committee, but I also feel that there was if you knew about this in September, and nobody in this room did, I have to agree that we have a communication problem with the community. And I'm not on social media, haven't been for quite a while. What we read in the paper is what the first time we heard about it. So of course it caused an uproar in our community. Those of us that care about the community, I've been here for over 40 years. I raised my kids here. I've watched councils come and go, I've seen government come and go, and this is the first time that I've seen this type of division in our community. And it hurts. I respect each and every one of you for the time that you spend on the council. I respect the fact that you are, in my opinion, doing the best that you can. But I think we need to do better. I think we need to communicate better to the people in this community. And I think that if the post signal reported that somebody was voluntold to name these three people, it was either misrepresented or misunderstood when I read that in the paper. And that was a problem that I had, because it sounded like it was planned before the meeting started, and it sounded more like coercion than it did cooperation. With all that being said, thank you for my time. I'm not going to take any more, but I'm concerned that we are dividing our community further by putting this together.
Thank you. Thank you. William Harrison.
William Harrison at 14068 Elton Street. I know I have spoken up earlier on this issue and stuff, but I just want y'all to know I feel like this is a good thing for the city. I'm glad it has been brought up. I'm sorry about the miscommunication mess and stuff, but I know that when things come up and then finally are brought up to be on city agendas and stuff like that, it's done that way. So people can, watch the agendas to see how things are brought up and everything. And like someone had just mentioned, that it's only been known since September, but it wasn't to be brought up until a certain time that the council has time to possibly do this and everything. I believe, and stuff like that. And also in our deliberations, I hope I can get to some of the meetings, what somebody mentioned about public input and stuff like that, help give input, but also the thing that I have seen not in this organization, I call this, or the city itself, is policies on how to run meetings and everything, called Robert's Rule of Order. I know that we maybe not want to get those totally all adopted and everything, but also I hope y'all will look at some of those issues in Robert's Rule of Order to run meetings and maybe bring this to this committee and come out of the committee to help run our meetings better, and also to help get information out to the public for what it is and stuff. So I support this. If I can help in any way. Thank you very much, Mr. Dane, for all that information, definitions and stuff. Chad, thank you very much for reading the ordinance, charter, and so forth. And thank all of y'all for being up there and dealing with our wonderful city. Thank you.
All right, Cindy Ferris. Am I the last one? Nobody else wants to speak? No, you're not the last one. You're just next. It's just my turn.
I have a problem with meetings here.
Well, I just want to remind people that there are a couple of things going on in town coming up. Number one, trash off in
You're talking about this item.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't talk about anything else. Okay, I'm sorry. I haven't done this before on this. So, I was also at this meeting, and, I just want to clarify some things that were said at the very beginning and recently, because I think that a lot of times we don't understand what goes on because we don't attend these meetings and we don't become versed in what goes on with these meetings. I've been attending the meeting since, spring of 22, and I try to make every meeting. I have not done every meeting, but I try. I've come to have a much better understanding and respect for what goes on up there on the podium. I know that when I have been here many times, there are reams and reams of paper that these people have to go through and read on each and every issue that comes up before them. And I'm glad I'm not having to do all of that work. The other thing is that things are listed, and Lynette is by law required to post the agenda 72 hours before we have this meeting called. And that is done. She does it on the box, and you can pick up the thing, or it's on the website. So there are ways of finding out the information and what's going on. I would just encourage, that's my job here, is to encourage everyone to come and get involved like they have tonight. If you're not involved and you don't know what goes on and you don't see the weekly or the bi-weekly process, you're not going to be in the know, and you're going to be confused about all of the ins and outs and what goes on behind the scenes. Or not behind the scenes, but behind the desk up there. So, you know, we don't have to get along. We can have differences of opinion, but what we do have to do is go forward with our city and what we need to do for this city, because the growth is coming, we know it's coming, and we have to do what we have to do. You know, some people think that they have a glass that's half full. Some people think they have a glass that's half empty. I have a glass that runs over. My glass is full, and I would like to see other people have the same attitude that let's get it done, let's get on with what we need to do, and make this a better citizens city for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Ellett.
Well, I was here at the last meeting. I typically come because I need to know what's going on with real estate, there's always something real estate mentioned. And I think the biggest thing that I keep hearing is communication. If there is one thing that I can say about our mayor, and I don't think anybody in this room will disagree with me, she is the communication queen. She gets out into the community, she goes to our local businesses, she promotes our local businesses. She's the voice of our community. She tells us what's going on. The common citizen knows what's going on because of Mayor Beasley. So I understand that the council has their job, but I will just say, as a citizen, I didn't know half of you until coming to the meeting, because I don't see you out in the street. I'm involved in Chamber of Commerce, I'm involved in the community, and several of you, I had no clue if I would have met you on the street who you were. So shame on me, because I should have gotten more involved in council meetings. Communication is the issue. We all love this town. That's why we live here. That's why we raise our children, our grandchildren here. That's why I moved here. We just need to support each other. And communication is an okay thing. I think part of the issue is how the meeting was run. It was to be discussed, and then some of us were sitting here, it's kind of like going, well, wait a minute, we were discussing what is this committee? Most of us didn't even know what a governance committee was. Why do we need it? The question was never answered. why we needed it. It was never answered. It was just, well, 3 would be a good number, and then the next thing you know, 3 were volunteered or asked to serve, they voted, and we were just, why are we discussing this? Shouldn't the citizens have a say-so? We've already got a 6-member that are doing great. You do a great job. The citizens need more of a say-so than just our mayor who represents us.
Thank you. Mr. Haas.
Thank you. I didn't, John Hawks, 1300 High Point Drive, here in beautiful, historic, and sometimes hysterical. I wanted to speak tonight on just really one thing in particular. I know there's been a lot of brouhaha about the governance committee and all of that, but I love committees, and I love boards, and I love just the kind of governance that we're talking about tonight. And the reason is because you guys are all tasked with the job of looking out for the best interest of right now, what is it, a little over 6,000 people, and soon to be 70,000 people. And you've got to find a way to meet those people's needs right here. And so when each one of you become a member of this council, or I can say this board, this committee, whatever it is, you shed your person. You shed who you are. And you step up here and you bring all of your knowledge and experience and how you feel about all this stuff. You bring it to the table, each one of you have your say, and then the body makes a decision. And once the body makes a decision, you all go home, and you come back and do it again. And that's how it's supposed to work. This is not, we don't have a king, and we don't have a tyrant, we don't have Hitler sitting up there calling all the shots, nor do we have a pure democracy. Both of those ends of the spectrum ended badly for the countries that use those. What we have is a group of people that come together, they're elected to come together, they vote, they consider the issues, and then they make a decision as a body, as a whole. That's why I love boards and commissions. I love the commissions because sometimes the council has more to do than to drill down on one particular issue. And by appointing a commission, you're allowed to do that and appoint a few people to take up that, and then bring it back to the council and let the council vote. And the council then, of course, answers to the people of the community. But as a community, I'm happy that we have 7 people that sit on this dais twice a month and hear all this information and gain all this data from staff, from citizens, from everybody else, and make a decision. I think the commission is wonderful. I think it will allow the board, the council, to do a better job. I think y'all done a fine enough job already, but the process and procedure makes it work better, and it helps each one of you, anybody that serves on board, it helps each one of us to put our own biases and blind spots and misunderstandings and lack of knowledge behind us, and put the combined knowledge, information, training, and experience of everybody on this council together to hopefully come up with the best decisions to serve everybody in Pilot Point. And I love Pilot Point. I've been here 21 years, and I have no designs of moving out. I'm sorry if anybody didn't like that. I don't plan on going. So thank you again for you guys.
Thank you. Jordan Hart.
Well, Jordan Hart at 501 East Street. Thank you guys for your time tonight. For me, I think it's a trust issue. We had plans to move here, start a business here, start a family here, and we've done that. And now, I think that trust is in question with you guys, or that's happening. I felt through personal experiences with being misled and lied to about code appealing and things like that, we get this issue brought up. So I just have a few questions. I don't want to make assumptions. I think we've heard that committees are great and I, for one, think that as well. But a few questions that maybe could be addressed is that while you did appoint these people are citizens, can they be on this committee? And if so, why were they not looked at? Or if they were they not chosen? I don't see a lot of diversity in the committee that was selected. And to me, when you all have like minds, you really don't have a situation for change. I don't feel that it best represents the diverse culture of this community. And for me, that creates a trust issue. I'm constantly feeling that I'm looking around my shoulder just to live here. We've got a lot of issues going on. And so I just maybe would like that answered. Do you feel you three best represent this community? If so, why were they the best three chosen? And why were not citizens represented for even nominated for this position? So, thank you.
Thank you. I would like to allow the dais to answer.
Why don't you answer them?
I wasn't the one who nominated.
I said why I nominated them.
Well, if you want, I'll just read mine.
Yes, please.
My comments here, so it's probably a good time. First and foremost, the order of priority in my life is God, family, and government, with city government being the most important. Yes, we have state and federal government, but I believe what affects us most directly is our city and county government. There are many times I wake up at 2 in the morning, worried about what our town might become. Pilot Point is in a very pivotal time, and if not managed correctly, vulnerable. It is more critical than ever that this dais sitting here today is unified. When facing the public, Mayor Beasley has said many times she prides herself on being able to hold disagreeing points and still find a way to disagree with civility and kindness, because we all love Pilot Point. I agree with this approach, and I want to publicly challenge this dais and myself to hold on to that principle. We may not all agree how to get there, but I believe in my heart we want everybody in this room what is best for Pilot Point. I believe in the sanctity and strength of a unified body, so while there will be times that I personally do not agree with others on this dais, I will find a way to disagree with civility and kindness, and I need to work on that better. And I think we all do. Everybody in the room. I'm not placing judgment, and show a unified front when the majority decides. Because we all love Pilot Point, and our citizens deserve a strong and unified body to display anything else that is best for Pilot Point, which is the central purpose of why we all serve and live here. It is important to me that our constituency understands some backgrounds that took place prior to our meeting 2 weeks ago. As a dais, we meet on a weekend retreat with the goal of developing a pathway of unity and strength as a body. During that retreat, the formation of a governance committee was discussed and should not have been a surprise to anybody on this dais. Additionally, it does state in our charter, and I invite all of y'all to look at Section 3.1 under Rules of Procedure. Under Section 8.01, Authority, Composition, and Procedure, that the City Council shall determine its own rules of order and business. We have the support of the charter to form a governance committee. So let me talk about the governance committee. What is it? And more importantly, what it isn't. The purpose of this committee is to provide recommendations, and I stress recommendations, to come before the City Council, presented as a roadmap to a more efficient and therefore effective body. This committee is not a personal attack on a singular person of government. As a council, we are not individuals. We are a body all together serving the people. The recommendations coming from the committee will be for all of us. For all of us. This committee is not in place to govern or control the council. It is a place to give recommendation. It is the council that will make the decisions that is recommended. This committee is not to determine what is or is not on a council agenda. It's not the responsibility of the 3+ staff, and then eventually we will have community input. The agenda is determined by the council through the recommendations of the constituency and city staff. The committee is not adding more layers of government. I agree that additional layers create less efficiency. It is meant to provide opportunity for framework for this council to help establish a more efficient and effective meeting and operation. As with all our other committees and commissions, once established, these meetings will be open and available to the public to attend. It is the same approach we took with the Charter Review Committee. Everybody could have come to it, and it was announced. The most important thing I want to stress to all is that this group is not a body of decision makers. All recommendations are brought forward to the council. The body of decision makers to decide on this is this dais. As citizens, we all have the power through our freedom of democracy in voting to determine who has the privilege to serve on this dais. That power is not changing. We are not trying to take away anything. I am encouraged and happy to see so many citizens here tonight. As I have previously said, we are in a pivotal time, and your involvement and effort to engage is critical to ensuring we hear your voice. Please continue to engage with us, and we'll do better on emails and all that, for or against decisions. We are only our best when we are all engaged. Lastly, on a positive note here, I felt the lyrics of this song truly inspired my decision to elaborate tonight, and I feel moved to share with our citizens tonight. This song is We Are Many Parts by Marty Hagan. We are many parts. We are all one body, and the gifts we have, we are given to share. May the spirit of love make us one indeed, one the love that we share, one a heart in despair, one the cross that we bear. God of all, we look to you, we would be your servants true. Let us be your love for all the world, including all of us and our pilot point. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. So, that doesn't really answer the question, so I'll take it back to the dais that, what was the reason that the 3 members were selected and why were citizens not allowed to participate?
So, citizens are allowed to participate at the proper time. I can answer from the standpoint of committees that serve on governing bodies, and they're just to be agile so that they can get a lot of work done and bring it back to the body. As for allowing the citizens on that, that's another part of our charter that hasn't been laid out. Part of the government's document is what we're trying to decide on. So subcommittees and this type of thing would probably be decided on that type of thing, and it would need to be updated. So diversity, I can't answer that one. I just know that from my perspective, and I believe we had this conversation, my focus was on parliamentary procedure. And so I had an interest in this because I have been asking and have been asked by citizens of getting some kind of parliamentary procedure. So for me, and I can only answer for me, I really wanted to serve to solve this. But I do believe the citizens will be involved. But it is allowing us to have on a committee the way it's described, and I believe Mr. Daniel did a pretty good job. It allows you the ability to be agile and make decisions and do a lot of work and bring it back to the body. Where the larger the group with input would restrict that ability to do that. That's the whole point of a committee.
Okay, so Councilwoman Jones, you're the one who nominated the three. Can you answer Mr. Harr's question?
Yes, absolutely.
Please.
I would like to say that this committee that we're forming, to me, is really no different than the committee we just got done, the ordinance committee. And it was very interesting to me. We nominated and we wanted to be on this committee. It was open to the public. Guess what? They even served dinner. But there was only one citizen that attended. William. He was the only one that attended regularly. I attended also because I was wanting to learn. But I didn't see any of these smiling faces, these beautiful people sitting there. It was just Mr. William. And why? When we picked a committee at the time, was it okay for that? But now it's not? When this is just similar, very similar to what we're doing to try to progress and move forward as a city.
So what was the reason? Because just like you wanted to see Councilman Major, so did I. Just a second.
I wasn't done talking.
Just a second. Councilman Major, you were also wanting to serve. And so my question to you, Councilwoman Jones, I expressed several times during that meeting that I also wanted to serve. What was the reason that you were adamant about picking those three members?
Well, do you remember my little speech that a couple of people laughed at? Okay? And put a timer on me? Do you remember? Did you hear my speech? I picked the people because mostly I feel they are going to be fair for all. These people are legitimate, honest, that I am proud to stand and sit next to. These people are legitimate and they're honest, they're loyal, and they are going to be fair to all. All, you and I. They will be fair to you and I. I trust them completely. They will be fair to all. And that is why I chose who I chose.
Okay, well, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Mr. Hart, did that answer your question?
It answers the question, yes.
Well, let me answer.
Yes, sir.
I voted for Chad Major and Brian Heisman because I admire and respect them greatly. I know that they are good Christian men who love this community and they work diligently to enhance and improve what we have here. I probably wouldn't have voted for myself, but I'm happy to serve. I like to think of myself as a servant, and I've done that all my life, and I will do whatever I can to help. I am not happy to be spending an additional 25 hours or more working on this committee if I had my preference, but I have a duty as a council person. I took that on when I ran and was elected, and I need to serve, and so I'm willing to do, I think everybody ought to do their part. And what you really ought to do, what I feel like I need to do, is a little bit more than my part. You know, I need to do half and then some. And that's why I voted for those two guys. I raised my hand because I was on the list, but I would raise my hand if you were on the list. I wanted that man and that man on the committee.
And I wanted you, sir.
Well, and I agree with you.
As to, I think, Mr. Hart, your comment about trust is right on. I think that there is a lack of trust here on the council, and that's so unfortunate, and I'm so saddened by that. We should be a team of 7. Ms. McAvoy should know about teams of 7. And we don't have to agree on everything, and it's probably right and proper that we don't. But once a decision is made, as far as I'm concerned, you need to go with the decision. You need to support the decision. No, we don't. Well, you shouldn't be shaking your head, Ms. McAvoy.
I don't have the opportunity to talk right now. You have the floor.
Just a second. We're going to hold it for please. Councilman Davis?
Yeah, I probably said more than I should.
I didn't have to say, I wasn't sweating on the committee. I did accept what the council voted.
We can't hear him now.
Your microphone's not, is it on? Oh, I'm sorry, can you speak?
So anyways, I wasn't accepted on the committee. I accepted the decision of the council. I'm asking the mayor to do the same thing.
Oh, I'm absolutely accepting of it. I mean, there's no.
Because you won't leave alone.
Okay, just a second, I'm not gonna sit and argue with you, Mr. Cummings.
I'm not here.
This is not a matter of me accepting the decision or not. I have a right to my opinion, and this dais has held, you mentioned, Mr. Heitzman, about the retreat. In that retreat, the consultant asked, because there was already some division with this 6-to-1 kind of thing brewing, and asked you all, why don't you go and talk to her, sit and talk to her? That was in December, November when we met. Not a single one of you have ever picked up the phone to call me. And in fact, only 2 of you ever respond to my text or calls. Thank you, Councilman Major, and thank you, Councilman Day. The rest of you don't return my phone calls, don't return my texts, and will not set meetings with me. No. Just a second, we're gonna hold it more, please. This is not going to become a debate of them versus us, and this is very important to me. That is not what this is about. What this is about is that highly exposed, even tonight, walking into this meeting, I'm watching all of you with your notes, that you all, it appears to the community, and it appears to me, that you all discuss things and have an agenda and a flow that you're going to do things before we even get here. And that's concerning. That is absolutely concerning. What this is about is full transparency. All I asked, and I will continue to ask, if there is nothing to hide, my mom always told me, live your life beyond reproach. Don't let your good be evil spoken of. And I will say the fact that this meeting happened on Monday, and Brenda and Britt, I need you to hear me. This meeting was held on Monday, and it absolutely is on the fringe of the Open Meetings Act. And because there was no agenda posted, and you all met, and that is a problem. Because, just a second, because it is your job, Brenda, to protect us from even laying on the fringe of it possibly being on the Open Meetings Act. And I'll give this to you. I'm not going to get into debate.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Okay.
What meeting was not
Monday. When the governance committee, the subcommittee met on Monday.
Oh, the
there was
subcommittee.
3 members of the council, city manager.
I didn't have anything to do with that.
I understand that, but you should not have allowed them to meet until we had absolutely posted a public notification to allow the public to know that there was
a As you know, when there is not a quorum of the council present, it is not a meeting as defined under the public meeting, under the open meeting.
I understand. Just a second.
So, any notice that was published was in addition and for the benefit of the community. So I don't give opinions on things that are not legal issues.
I will pass this to you, and you can read it. It's from the Open Meetings Act. And I actually called the Texas Attorney General's office, and I also spoke to an attorney at TML, and they both agreed that it is on the fringe of putting the city in danger of breaking the Open Meetings Act.
We're gonna call them.
And that's all I have. That's all I'm saying. We're gonna continue and let the community speak. Jason Metzer.
Jason Manter, 120 Tenth Court. I wasn't going to talk when I came here. I got on the show, but listening to Mr. Heisman pound his hand on the table, feel like I was being talked down to. Don't appreciate it. And this, I mean, what a show. Anyways, the problem in this town, and we've seen it when we have the problems with Yargo Farms. We came here all the time. You guys did absolutely nothing. We got this guy that doesn't know how to run the city. I mean, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But you know what? Nobody, people come here and talk, you guys don't care. I mean, you see it all the time. You do nothing. Absolutely nothing. And of course, people are gonna have trust issues when it comes to that. What have you guys done for us? People come here, they talk. I mean, I say, is it a coincidence when Yarborough Farms had a problem? We had this place full. Video didn't work, audio doesn't work. Is it a coincidence again that this place is full again today? The audio's not working? Is that a coincidence? I mean, come on, where's the trust? You know, you guys can sit up there and be angry that people don't like this, but how do you guys look at yourselves? You're saying you are going to recommend to the council. You three are the council. So if you recommend, anybody here cares about this governance committee. It probably is a good thing because you guys obviously do care. I mean, it's plain and simple to do. But how do you pick 3-year-old people? It's the same thing. It's just going to roll right downhill. You're going to advise yourself how to do things, and then you're going to vote on it. You already got 3 votes. I watch all these videos online and stuff. I watch the voting. It's always 6. It's always 7-1, 7-0, 6-1. You all vote the same. So we know you guys talk about this stuff. Yeah. Because there's no way 7 different people have the same opinions about everything. No way. So, I mean, that's all the time.
Tina Stowski.
Tina Stowski, 325 South Church Street. I actually had a different statement prepared, and thanks to Councilman Dane and Mayor, I've adjusted it. However, there are still a couple of comments I'd like to make. If you have known since September, and this wasn't a surprise to any of you, why is it a surprise to us? That's all the more reason the citizens should have known about it. Because of the definitions that were given tonight, that might have been good information to have October. And while I still don't agree with the governance committee, I don't like the idea of it. It sounds almost like toddlers in a preschool being left in charge of the toddlers in the preschool. But I will give you the opportunity to prove to us that you mean what you say when you say you will include the community. When you say you will include the citizens that have voted for you. Communication seems to be a very common word used tonight. And that especially needs to apply to these 7 of you. Lastly, actually on that one, can I ask a direct question? Yes, ma'am. You made a comment that none of them have reached out to you. You were accused tonight of not reaching out to them. Have you reached out to them? Yes. Thank you. Lastly, in regards to a comment made tonight, I appreciate the communication from Mayor Beasley, even on social media, because that's obviously how some people are going to hear it. There are people who, I'm sorry, Abby, don't read the paper. I do read the paper. I'm just usually 3 or 4 behind. So you mentioned in your post that you would continue to make a post concerning the agenda items. I ask that you keep that, so that the people who don't read the paper will know.
Thank you. Andrew Singleton. And I do need to caveat that about, I have not reached out to, Mr. Cummings, after that December because you've never returned a text or a phone call from me, as long as I've known you. And that's your prerogative, sir. Yeah, nothing personal, but I did not reach out to you since December.
Aiden Singleton, 1900 North St. James Road. I did serve on the council previously. I just want to make a comment on that. The people may not know, if you don't know the rules of governance and the rules of meetings. If she calls him, asks him something, calls him, then calls him, you got to walk before him. That's illegal. You can go to jail for that. Okay? So you got to be very careful how you communicate. That's why to me this governance committee is actually very important. So that few people, without having to involve everybody else, can solve some problems that need to be obviously solved. I think we all agree there's problems that need to be solved here. But you got to be very careful as you communicate. Even on social media, if you respond and you respond, you respond, and you respond to the same message, that's a walking forum. That's a problem. So everybody, you may not understand that, but you've got to understand that. There's some legalities on why you can't do certain things. You got to be very careful. Okay. So with that, I'm going to read this real quick. As we gather here today to discuss the establishment of a governance subcommittee, I believe it's imperative that we approach the topic with clarity, transparency, and a commitment to serve the best interests of our community. First and foremost, I'd like to address the key aspect of our city charter, specifically 3.05, which outlines the role of the mayor. It's important to recognize that while the mayor holds ceremonial responsibilities and presides over city meetings, their role is not one of unilateral decision making. We are not a dictatorship. The mayor participates in discussions, has a vote on all matters unless otherwise prohibited by law, and represents the city in various capacities. However, the charter does not grant the mayor regular administrative duties nor legislative veto powers. In light of this, the establishment of the governance subcommittee comprised of council members Major, Dane, and Heitzman, aligned with principles outlined in our city charter. The subcommittee provides an avenue, and this is the key point, everybody, that I think you're missing. The subcommittee provides an avenue for focused discussion and in-depth examination of critical matters that may not be fully addressed within the constraints of our regular city council meetings. I can tell you some meetings when I was here went well past 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and I wish to God we would have had some other folks to look at some stuff and come bring some executive summaries to us. We would have to read the whole thing every night. It's a tough job, and I thank all of you for it. Unfortunately, recent discussions on social media platforms, particularly the Politan Iowa Traffic Facebook group, have led to misunderstandings and misinformation regarding the purpose and function of the subcommittee. Assertions have been made that the meeting of the subcommittee will be closed and decisions and votes will be made without the involvement of the rest of the council and mayor. That will not happen. That's illegal. That's categorically false. I want to emphasize that directly engaging in involved discussion on social media platforms does not help resolve issues. Rather, it further divides our count and undermines our collective efforts towards progress. In order to address concerns and provide accurate information to our citizens, I propose we designate a spokesperson for the city, perhaps the city secretary, to make announcements and address concerns in a professional manner on social media. Professional manner. I got 2 more sentences, if I can.
Yes, go ahead.
By centralizing communication channels and ensuring the information is disseminated in a transparent and reliable and responsible manner, we can promote unity and understanding within our community. Let us strive to engage in constructive dialogue grounded in facts and mutual respect as we work towards the betterment of our public home. In conclusion, I urge all the members of the City Council and our esteemed mayor to approach the initiative with an open mind and a commitment to collaboration. Let us work together to ensure the governance subcommittee operates in the best interests of Pollock and its residents. Uphold the principles of transparency, accountability, and inclusivity.
Thank you, Mr. Singleton. Kevin and Charlie. No? Kevin? No? Oh. I just thought you were saying you weren't going to speak.
I wasn't. Kevin Menshot, 308 Rockford Road. I wasn't at the meeting, but from everything I've heard from people around, it's the manner in which you had that meeting and how everything was decided. It was as if this is all for you to determine. City manager, the city attorney. It's my perception.
Can you speak into the microphone? Go ahead, Joe.
Anyway, all this was predetermined before you left. the way it laid out. You disrespected the mayor, the way it was handled, in my opinion. My gut feeling at the time, and we kind of confirmed that, but sort of another speaker, is that the Texas Open Meetings Act was violated. The way it pans out. In my past career, I've worked in city government for 29 years, 10 years for county government. I have a very good understanding of how city government functions and what goes on behind the scenes. I know how it works. I know what's right now. I've only seen a handful of council members serve without being self-serving and self-important. That's the common theme with council people. I know you guys love public reform, but I haven't seen many good council people, which is what happened. You guys may prove me wrong. Mayor Beasley is one of the few who leads with her incorruptible heart, serves the community, the people, the businesses. Her passion is incredible. I don't see that in all. Those who have gotten to know Mayor Beasley see this and trust her. We're talking about trust. I trust her. I'm glad she's doing social media. I'm glad I encouraged her to start doing council jobs. Because not everybody comes. I don't want to. I actually participated. I was there. It's a beauty, especially since you guys have a hard job. I respect that. The other side of that, I bet you most of you don't need them. Because I'm going to start coming to you. I'm going to take that job. And I'm going to use social media. Not against you, just do it. I hope you all come together like you said before. Instead of trying to exclude her and silence her, we want to respond to her. You should take some notes because in the future years, this will be the expectation of elected officials. Experience only matters when you're a council member like Mayor Beasley. Experience doesn't matter, it's the same thing everywhere. Anyway, thank you for the job you do and your passion.
I, for one, have personally attended every one of the mayor's breakfasts, prayer breakfasts she has had to show my support. I have been early, I have been on time to show her my support at every single breakfast. I've been there, and I haven't seen some of you there, but I continue and will continue to show her my support. And there's also been several of us on this council that continue to show her our support and things that are passionate to her. I didn't know that tonight was going to be about her. I thought it was about this committee, but I felt I had to say that. I felt I had to say how much I support her by attending these breakfasts. Since the subject is about her, I wanted to share to you that I support her and I continue to support her, and I hope that you guys also come to her breakfasts because I think it's important. And it's a beautiful way to start the morning, and it's a beautiful way to start with prayer. So if you haven't come, join me at her prayer breakfast. Join me.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jones.
It's a bummer we're here. It's a bummer we're here. Council Heitzman, I served with you when you were the planning and zoning chair, and I was on city council. You and I agreed to disagree a lot, but we remained respectful and we worked together. You and I sided on things together and worked together to move things before I was ever there. Councilman Dane, when nobody applied for that seat, I am the one who called you and asked you, please step back and can I talk you back into coming back into politics? Because I respect you. I respect your voice. Elizabeth, you and I are both artists. And at one point you invited me to your house to make a painting of your husband.
We had a relationship once.
We still do.
Councilman Major, you and I sat together before you even ran for council. And you were just getting into it. I have a little history in politics. I gave you all the secret sauce of running an effective campaign to win, to my chagrin when I had to compete against you 2 years later. I respected you, I stood by you, your sign was in my front yard. Councilman Jones, this is not about me. Unfortunately, it became about me when it's not what this dais did, it's how it did it. This dais serves the full people, and I don't understand, since I started, there's been this absolute line of division that it's you against me. And I believe that we all love Tyler Point, every single one of us. And we want the best things for this community, because we can look out and see several people in this community that we have either been friends with, we've met for the first time, and actually, dare I say, there are people in this community who like Elizabeth and me at the same time. There are people that like you and me at the same time.
It's good.
It's amazing. Yet when we come on this dais, it consistently feels like you all have talked to each other, you all know what you want to do, and then we come in and I'm sitting here looking at things, I meet with our mayor, our city manager, and then you all have the exact same voice, exact same notes, consistent. We voted to have this subcommittee. And regardless, because of the definitions or what the policy is or who you nominated, this will continue because that is how government works. We vote and we don't have to all agree. But I absolutely will continue to hold my voice. And I have every right under the First Amendment to communicate with the community. And I try, despite the angle that you all seem to believe that I have, I don't put it at any other angle other than this is what happened. This is how, we all have a perspective, right? When if a nurse walks in here with a shot and she gives it to you in your arm and me in my arm, we're gonna feel it different. Same shot, same nurse, but we feel it different. Perspectives are an amazing thing, and that's what makes us so beautiful. The diversity, I'm looking at people in the hallway, Mexican American, from Hispanic, African American, I'm looking at old and young, kids from the high school, I'm looking, that's diversity. That's who we represent, the people. We have to be better. And I'm saying now in front of this community, I want to be better with you. I was elected to this seat just like you all were. People voted for me to be in this seat. And I want to work with you. I want to disagree with you, Councilman Heitzman. If you will call me and talk.
I don't have any text. And if you call responding to a chain, you can't respond.
I understand that. But I remember standing here with you saying, hey, we need to talk this out. And you said, yeah, right? Okay.
There's still a lot of issues that you're talking about, and don't even address them here.
That's right. No, that's fine.
Because none of them, nobody else just spoke, what you and I have shared. So.
And that's fine. This governance committee is voted on, it is done. I'm just asking that it's not what you do, it's how you do it, that you include the community sooner than later. And especially, Brenda, if you can look into that, if there is any validity to us being on the fringe of breaking the Open Meetings Act, that we please protect the city, protect the dais, because I don't want any of us getting in trouble because we just don't know. And if you can include the community, which you can, because it's a choice, You know, you all say there's, one of the things that you all have said is to save time, you wanna have a small committee to save time. I signed up for this, just like you all did. And if that means I have to sit in a meeting 2 times a month till 10 o'clock, that's what I signed up for. If that means that I get to be on that subcommittee that's going to build the future of Pilot Point, and it means I have to work an extra 25 hours a month, trust me, I will do it. All my passion was that I felt excluded, and I would like for us to start working together, and this subcommittee must be open to the community. That's all I have. I don't think we need to prolong it, it's 8:30. I thank you all for being here, and I ask this community, this is not me against anyone. I really, it bums me out that there's this whole Team Beasley, team council thing, and we're all better, and we're gonna get better. I'm committed to getting better. I'm committed to getting better working, because you all elected, just like you elected me, you elected them. And I'm committed to getting better. I hope that we can all be better and work together as we move forward, and just consider what the community has said tonight on the governance committee, and at the end of the day, you all are the ones appointed, and you carry the weight of that, and then whatever comes to the dais, we'll deal with as it comes. Is there anybody else who has any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Updated